Good morning, everyone. Glad you're here this morning. We are in the midst of a series that we began called Becoming Spiritual Ninjas, I think is what it's called. Something like that, along that line. It's the goal. We're talking about upping our spiritual game. You spend a year in the gym, spiritual gym, something changes. What does it look like? How do you start acting, behaving, thinking, feeling in different ways? What does more spiritual look like? This has been the subject matter of this series. I want to start off with this experience I had. This is a few months ago. My Sunday night routine is pretty much like Groundhog Day. I go out, play hockey, and then a bunch of the guys we play hockey with all go out, sit in a pub, and chirp each other about who wasn't playing that well that night, and kind of poking fun, talking sports, talking all kinds of things. It's just a great time. And normally we have these team pitchers of beer that show up, and we eat wings, and then at the end of the night, the bill comes out, and we just divide it up amongst whoever's sitting around the tables. Everyone pitches in, and we go home. But, I had been noticing over the last number of times leading up to this one night that, I'm pretty careful. I drink a couple beer and then have my wings. And, I just kind of do the math. How many ever do this? You kind of wrap in your head. You're kind of doing the math. You're going, yeah, I'm thinking I'm about this much is what I should be planning on putting down on my credit card or pulling out cash. And someone grabs the bill, does the math, and they come out with a different number. And that number is a lot higher. And I hear the number. I'm trying to reconcile the difference. And I think, okay, no biggie. No one else seems to be rattled by it. Maybe my math was off. Don't think it was. So the lady comes around and you tap and away you go, but it kind of bothered me. So the next week, everyone's, ordering their food and whatever, and the jugs come out, and I just said, hey guys, let's just keep an eye on how many jugs are getting ordered tonight. Because I think, have you noticed the bill, remember at a time when we used to just pay this much, and now, over the last little while, it's been, and some guy says, Jarvis, easy, don't worry, we got it under control, don't worry, everything's fine. I'm like, okay, all right. So anyways, that night, I'm in the middle of this conversation with a few guys around the table, and the bill comes, someone's doing the math, and they shout out the amount. Oh, no, before that, I'm kind of surveying it, and I said, okay, hey, we're being careful, right, guys? And they're like, easy, Jarvis. This one guy was just like, relax, being Debbie Downer, that's what he called me. And I was like, anyways, I get into this conversation, all of a sudden, two more jugs of beer show up. And I'm just like, who ordered the beer? No one's fessing up. I'm just like, bunch of adolescents. So anyways, I get tied up in this conversation. Someone does the math and says, this is what it costs tonight. And I heard the number, and now I'm angry. Because I'm going, no, we've been here before, guys. But I'm in this conversation, I'm just rankled a bit. So anyways, good conversation. All of a sudden, guys are getting up, they're throwing money on the table, whatever. I've zoned out of that. I'm in this conversation. Guys are leaving, whatever. And then I hear, we're short. Now I stop the conversation. Just say, hey, time out for a second. What? How much are we short? Well, we were short a lot. But now there's guys that have left. So now we're just down to a smaller group. So I'm going, well, so how much extra are we putting in? Well, in my mind, it was an obscene amount. Like I ended up, what I would normally pay for 2, I end up paying for like 6 beer that night. And I'm so angry. If my looks could kill, man, I would have, like they would have all been. I was just like, look, the lady came around, I said, put this much on it. I tapped, I got up, and I walked out. Didn't say goodbye, didn't do nothing. That is out of character for Jeff. And they were like, I got into my car that night, and I'm driving home, and I'm so twisted up. The next morning, my son asked me, how was hockey last night? I said, oh, man, you won't believe. I told him the story. Kathy comes in, hey, how's it going? I'm like, oh, you won't believe. The next week rolls around. I don't go out. I just go home. WhatsApp's lighting up. Jarvis, where are you? No answer. Oh, man. You know, if someone could just give them the salute, I was doing it. I was like, I hope you're all getting the message. And it became this big WhatsApp story. All these guys that weren't even there, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? I want them all to know what's going on. The next week, I show up. I order water. They're like, and these guys are starting to chirp me, oh, poor Jeff. And I'm almost like ready to lock in, especially with this one guy. I was just like, how dare you, it's like, and I'm in that moment, I'm so distracted. You know how it can be? You can be having the most amazing day, and then something happens. It can be something someone says. Like, it can happen from all kinds of different things. Someone walks in and gives you a little piece of negative feedback. And they're going, I just noticed. You find out you didn't get the promotion. Buddy down the hall did. It's like, oh, what? You didn't get the deal? You're just driving along, and all of a sudden this guy completely on his phone or something just starts squeezing you out of your lane, pushing you onto the shoulder, and slam on the brake. It's just like everything a moment ago was just blue skies. You're taking in, you're singing along with the music. And internal, man, these dark emotions rise up, hey? It's like everything that was once flowing through you is now just blocked up, and you're inside your head, and this voice starts talking. You ever get that? It's like, that jerk. Or, oh my God. Maybe you're embarrassed. It's just like, oh. You get yanked out of the present, and now you're just completely in your head. It's like that, the moment the flow stops, and you can't get past what you just saw or heard or experienced. It's right here. Something hijacks your focus. And not only that, man, it just pulls you into this dark space that gets you feeling all these uncomfortable things. I call them dark emotions. Just because no one really likes feeling a lot of fear. Some people like to get scared, but not very often. But anxiety, anger, sadness, hatred, or intense dislike. That's the Christian version. Jealousy, envy, embarrassment. Oh, these are crazy. And these emotions, they affect us, don't they? The science already shows how these dark emotions, they sit inside you for a little while. They will affect your heart, your immune system, your digestion. People have stomach issues. They've linked them already to stress and these dark emotions that linger. Production of hormones. It can affect with all kinds of things, with even just our physical body. But the impact of these dark emotions, the impact that they can have on our behavior, if they're not handled properly, man, they are no joke. If we're lucky, they just simply are a distraction. They just pull us into this space, and we don't do or say anything, if we're lucky. But often, we don't get that lucky. Often, when all of a sudden those things hit our system, that thing happens, that person says something, we realize something is going on, all of a sudden we're hijacked. And then what happens can be ugly. There's a story in the Bible, two brothers, Cain and Abel. You've likely heard the story. If you haven't, two brothers trying to do something really good to earn the approval of the character God in this story. And they go and do something, and basically, I could tell you a lot of details, but honestly, it all boils down to one brother does it better than the other. Abel kind of gets the thumbs up, that a boy, and Cain does his thing, and he gets the thumb down. And Cain has one of those moments. It's like, what? He gets so angry. And the character God in this story, he talks to Cain. He says, why are you so angry? Why do you look so dejected? He says, you will be accepted if you do what is right now. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. He calls it sin. Something bad is waiting for you at the door. One version says its desire is for you. It's licking its lips. It's got plans for you. But he says, you must master it. You must subdue it and make it be its master. He has that moment, gets hijacked, the dark emotion wells up. He's got a moment right there. And it's like he's warned. He's like, here it is, right now, choose right. What does Cain do? The Bible says he lures him into a field, and he attacks his brother and kills him. Extreme story. Hopefully we don't end up in that kind of behavior. If you do, don't tell me. Don't. That day, Cain's poor reaction altered the rest of his life. Literally changed the entire trajectory. One moment. This spiritual ninja series is designed to talk about the things that separate the spiritual ninjas from the rest. And I'll tell you right now, how we react in that moment when the dark emotion moves in, that moment and the reaction is what separates the ninjas from the rest. I want to talk about the moment, these moments, and do you see them? Do you know what's going on in these moments? And are you thinking about mastering them? I think that story of Cain and Abel has been passed down over thousands of years as a cautionary tale. It is one of the most universal experiences that humans will experience. That moment when things go sideways and we're left feeling all kinds of things, bad, dark things. And in those moments, it ignites our psyches. We've talked a lot about the ego around here over years, that our thinker, our mind, that all of a sudden something happens and it just starts talking. It starts telling stories about why that person did that, why it happened to you and not them, how unfair life is. Look at you, you're getting screwed over again, Jarvis. They don't care about you, especially that guy over there. He's laughing. Interesting, one of the spiritual ninjas within the Bible, his name was James. He wrote something interesting. He said, "Dear brothers and sisters, is your life full of difficulties and temptations? Then be happy. For when the way is rough, your patience has a chance to grow. So let it grow. Don't try to squirm out of your problems. For when your patience is finally in bloom, then you will be ready for anything. Strong in character, full and complete." I love that word patience. Often we talk about mindfulness and this split-second moment. In that dark moment, you go, oh, and you want to react. And mindfulness says, whoa, you have an opportunity right now to choose a different path than what you want to say or do right now. Yeah, and you have that window. I think patience here that James is talking about is saying, grow that window. You can back it out. You can stop. Take a time out right there in the pub, Jeff. Take a time out. Choose a different word. Choose a different action. Eckhart Tolle, he likes to tell a story about ducks. Aren't these beautiful? These wood carvings of ducks, these mallards. He likes to tell the stories of ducks. Did you know ducks fight? You didn't realize this, but if you watch them, every now and then, ducks will kind of get into each other's space. And all of a sudden, the squawking and the flapping starts, and they just start going after each other. Squawking, yelling. I don't know if I don't know necessarily what that looks like, but Eckhart Tolle says they have a big flare-up, and they're on each other. And then ducks have this weird practice. What they do is as soon as they have this dust up, it's like they turn around and they just take off. They're like, see ya. And then they get out into their own space after a big dust up, and they just start flapping. They just start flapping like crazy. It's like they're expelling all the energy that built up from that thing, that dust up. They just let it go. And then, life goes on. But Eckhart Tolle would say, if ducks were humans, they would have that big dust up. And they wouldn't go out and start flapping their wings and forget about it. No. Their psyche would start up. And they would start telling stories about that guy that he just had that thing with. Can't believe that guy. Who does he think he is? Pulls up within inches of me in my space of the water? No way. He has no respect for a duck's boundaries. Thinks he owns this pond. Never trust that duck again. I bet he's trying to pull something right now. He's conniving. That's okay, I'm ready. I'll teach him a lesson. I'll be ready. And on, the spinning of the story goes. I'm ready for you, man. I'm ready for you. That's what was happening to me in that pub that night. Oh man, the story started. And then I started thinking about that guy that told me, Jarvis, relax. I'm like, there's a pattern there. That guy. I think he was ordering the beer. It was him. Started replaying that thing all the way home in my mind. I was thinking about what I wasn't really paying attention to at the bar that night. Who was mocking me? Who was it? Oh yeah, it was that guy. That's right. I was just replaying it. The next morning, my son says, "Yeah, I was like, oh, let me tell you." And that narrative just started getting some steam. And only I added a few details to it, and it felt a little better telling that story. Carter's going, "Get out." Did not. I said, "He did." And then you won't believe what happened. And you know how much I paid last night? Get out. Yeah. Frickin', I am gonna. Pulled me right into my head, right into my story. What's going on in my life? What else is happening? Completely clued out. I'm in my head, telling the story. Michael Singer, in his book, The Untethered Soul, he explains all that inner noise that starts building up inside. All the thinking, the storytelling, it's just our attempt to process what we just experienced. Did you know that? Sometimes something bad happens. Have you ever been at work and someone comes in and they're in a bad place and you're going, you okay? And it's like, oh man, I just got cut off from traffic. They are stuck in the story and they're needing to kind of vent, talk about it. And as they do it, sometimes it's like, whew, thanks for listening to me. I'm better now. And they go on their way, sometimes. But oftentimes, it doesn't work that way. It gets trapped. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't dissipate. You experience insecurity because someone at one point criticized some part of you, and you refuse to let that thing go and just flap and move on. What happens is that experience all of a sudden gets pushed to the forefront of your brain, leaves a mark, an imprint. It's an unresolved file that never got closed. It don't go away. It waits. And it might be a month. For some, it could be a year, and someone goes and says something very similar to what that person said, not even to them, to someone else. And all of a sudden, some dark emotion starts happening. Heart starts racing. Dark emotions, You ever had that? Sure you have. Someone says something that triggers some kind of unconscious memory that you don't even know where it's coming from. And all of a sudden, there's anger, defensiveness. Someone makes a political comment that you don't agree with, and all of a sudden, and it takes you back to another conversation you had that was left unresolved. And all of a sudden, the fangs come out, and people are going, whoa, what just happened? If you were to bundle up all these unresolved files, little paper cuts, little nicks, little things that people do, and say that we don't let go of, it kind of gets bundled up. Eckhart Tolle would call this the pain body. We've talked about this before. It's like a backpack that you carry around, and it's full of all your unresolved files and hurts. Now, really, that backpack is right here, but you're carrying it around. And the weird thing about this is all these little paper cuts, all these little things that when we don't deal with those things, this backpack not only becomes heavy, it becomes consuming. It has a way of raising the volume of our psyche, of our ego, that voice in the head. It gets louder and louder. It's like a dog that you just keep feeding, and its bark becomes louder and louder. You can be in the middle of a conversation, something happens, and all of a sudden you are so far from what everyone is saying and talking about. You get pulled right out and into your head. And the electrical charge of that unresolved file just starts hitting you like a nerve pain in your tooth. It's just like, ow, ow. You're not present. All you can think about is, how dare he? Or no, not this. Or oh no, am I going to? You know that feeling, don't you? When you get pulled into your own thinking. That is a picture of what most of the world experiences. The unspiritual life, the unexamined life, is just a backpack full of emotional, unresolved pain and suffering. Spiritual ninjas know this. And they are very, very careful about what they allow in that backpack. They travel light. Some people, they got 50-pound packs on their back. They don't even realize it. So many unresolved hurts, frustrations, resentments, fears. And they carry that thing around. They don't know any other life. It's what they saw maybe within their family too. You just wear it around, and when someone hits that nerve, they just react. And people have learned, don't talk to them about this. Don't bring that up. Don't, careful around them. They're like prickly, because that pain, the pain body they're carrying around, it's just ready to zap them, pull them into that reactive state. Have you ever have you ever caught yourself going, oh, what did I just say and do? I'm sorry. Was that my outside voice? The number of times I've left Kathy in tears. And I'm just going, I'm sorry. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. And you just hear her just shaking her head. And that shaking of the head is going, this isn't the first time. I know what it feels like to have some unresolved shit that just creates that pain and then the reaction. That's why this space between the reaction, the dark emotion and the reaction is so important. James says, grow patience, grow that space so you're not just instant reaction. How do you do that? Before I just talk about that process, can I just say this? If this has been your MO, if you've caught yourself again and again with zero patience, zero space, and you withdraw, you pull in, you react, you're like, whatever your behavior is that you're going, this is not the person I want to be. Can I just say this? That is not you. That's not your identity. Even if it's always been your pattern, this is not you. That is your ego, your egoic mind that has too much power over you. But you can master it. The character God is looking at you and saying, you have a chance here. There is something other than you sitting at the door, and its desires for you. It wants your lunch. It will destroy you. Don't do it. Don't let it control you. That's the beautiful thing about this. We've got an option. It's really metaphorically, the flapping of the wings. What could that mean? A large part of it is being able to take the dark emotion. And let me just say for a second, when I talk about these dark emotions, they're not evil. All emotions are healthy. Someone reminded me this morning of the Inside Out movie. You'll learn that, right? All emotions are healthy. They're important. You feel jealous about something, probably for a reason. Because someone got something better than you. That's normal. You feel anger because someone left you with the bill. Anger's healthy. Probably justified in that moment. I know I was, okay? I was justified. Don't anyone tell me I wasn't, all right? We feel dark emotions for good reasons. I'm not wanting to villainize the dark emotions. It's just that they often produce poor behavior, poor reactions. Somehow, we need to figure out a way to take those dark emotions and acknowledge them. Go, holy cow, I am twisted up right now. What is this? Why? What am I feeling, first of all? Many have never really been taught to name the emotion they're feeling. But I'm telling you, to be able to stop part of that pace, the space game, before you say anything, to be able to say, holy shit, I'm losing it right now. Why am I so angry? Why am I so afraid? Why am I so insecure? Is that it? I'm insecure right now. Yeah, I'm getting defensive. Why am I feeling that way? How often will you just stop yourself in the middle of one of those scenes and just go, wait, what am I feeling right now? I don't. Not very often. I'm just like, attack. Just stop and just go, wait, is it? What is it? So we acknowledge the emotion. And then there's this point where perhaps there is the telling of the story. You tell yourself the story. Maybe you have someone you trust. It's not a bad thing. Someone comes in and says, can I just vent with you for a second? Sure. What's going on? Oh, man, this thing happened. Something beautiful can happen in the retelling of a story. I think when my son came down and he asked me about my night last night and I began telling him, there was a part of that process that was actually quite cathartic, quite therapeutic. Even as I'm talking, it's all kind of starting to make a little bit more sense why I'm feeling the way. That's what I'm feeling. Oh yeah, it's not right. If I'm only going to drink 2 beer, I should only be paying for 2 beer. So part of the retelling the story is helpful too. But then there comes a point where once you've told the story, you name the emotion. And it's different for everyone. But there comes a point when the challenge now is to say, stop telling the story. Shh. It's done. It is what it is. Now, this is complex because we all have varying degrees of infraction and stuff that's happened to us. So I'm not going to get into that too deep. All I'm going to say is there comes a point for everyone when what is healthiest is you stop feeding the voice. Because that ego loves it when you rehash the story again. It loves it when you all of a sudden, it loves being animated and feeling that dark energy getting stirred up inside. It loves it. It's like a dog, man. You're just feeding it steaks. And its growl and its bark and its bite just gets louder and louder. There comes a point when you say, enough. It is what it is. Do you ever find yourself just mentally saying, I'm not talking about that again. No, sorry. Someone says, hey, I heard about, no, it's over. It's done. For 3 weeks, I kept that pub fiasco alive. I told that story to myself many times, but every time I came around those guys, I saw the WhatsApp thing, I wanted to keep just giving the finger to those guys. But then there came this point, and probably as I was starting to prepare for this message, it was like, oh, what am I doing? Enough. I love those guys. Been playing with many of them for 20-some years. Come on, Jarvis. What are you thinking? Like any of them are doing that on purpose. Come on. So I walk in one night, and I sit down. And someone says, let's see what Jeff's going to order tonight. It's like, and someone who hadn't been coming out the last couple of weeks goes, what's that about? What is this all about? I saw some message on WhatsApp. What's it? Jeff, what is it? And I had a moment right there. I said, here's the thing. We all order up. I drink 2 beer, and I order wings. I just simply want to pay for a couple beer and wings. I want to pay my fair share. I don't want anyone to pay more than that. But I don't feel it's fair to be paying for someone else's beer every time I come out. That was all I meant to say. It's all good. It's all done. I'm ordering my own beer. We're good. Something about it just being done in me, all of a sudden, one of the guys that was so wanting to give it to me, he looks at me, he says, fair enough. Done. Something about it happens when we're able to just accept it and close the chapter, close the file, move on. Let me ask you something this morning, because that's a message. Can you close the file? Can you just simply say, okay, it's done? Or if you're having trouble, do you need to go and talk to someone? Do you need to see a therapist? Do you need whatever? What is it that you need to close that file? But don't you dare think that it's just normal operating procedures to keep files open and say, don't worry, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. I hear that kind of stuff happening. I'm going, dangerous. Throw another rock into the backpack. Learn to flap your wings this week. You got a little dust up, flap those wings. Close the file, move on. And it doesn't mean that you can't speak to it, but maybe you have to wait and come back and say, I think I had a little problem. Can we just talk about that? You guys get the point. What is it you need to do? What file do you need to close this week? Is there something that chronically gets you and twists you up? And is there some exploration you need to do around that thing and go, why? What's the thing under that thing that gets me so rankled? The spiritual ninjas have a way of knowing those moments and saying, I refuse to let sin crouching at the door master me. I will not take that bait. My prayer for you is that you will take another step in the right direction. Some of you, white belts, will become a yellow belt this week. And the reaction time will be 0.3 milliseconds or longer. Maybe for me, my lag time is about 3 weeks. And so I'm trying to close that gap. I don't know what your gap is. I don't know what are the things that twist you up, but may you this week, may you give thought to those moments that commonly, maybe more common than you even realize, have hijacked you and have taken your lunch again and again and left you in a pool of regret. I pray that this week will be there'll be moments of enlightenment. Yeah, may it be so. Have a great week, everyone.